Hi everyone, hope everyone's doing okay during this crazy time, keeping safe and keeping sane. Going to do a few videos to go through the next section. Most of it's self-explanatory, but I just thought it might change it up a little bit rather than just reading PowerPoints all the time. So hopefully this will work. So if I share my screen. Okay, so the first lesson is on network and data security. It's basically understanding the ways that a network could be compromised and why it's so important that networks are kept secure. So let's do it full screen. So the first question was, we were going to have a bit of a discussion about who this person is here. Obviously, you'll be able to skip ahead and have a look. But basically, this is Bradley Manning, who's now known as Chelsea Manning, after having gender reassignment surgery. And he was, at the time, a United States Army soldier and was given 35 years in a military prison for leaking as many as 700,000 secret documents. It has been overturned, and Chelsea Manning has now been released. As Barack Obama, I think it was at the time, said that, you know, a whistleblower shouldn't necessarily be given that amount of time in prison. And most of it was spent, I think, in solitary confinement. So you might be thinking, you know, this person is clearly an adept hacker, but actually the way that they did it wasn't actually that complicated. So the documents that he managed to steal were called cables from the US Embassy, and they included things like war logs, and there's one famous video where an Apache helicopter gunned down some, as they thought, terrorists, but turned out that it included a group of civilians as well, including a Reuters photographer. So the way that Manning managed to do this was he would bring in a CD, a rewritable CD, and he'd have music on it, something like Lady Gaga or something. He'd erase the music, he had access to the files, he would compress them, split them across different disks, and carried them out. And it was as simple as that. And obviously, if you want to do a bit more reading on that, then there's a link there for you to click on. So the way that this exam board have said is possible risks are things like hacking, viruses, technical breakdown, or interception. So you need to know all four of these areas. So in order to reduce these risks, the exam board have also outlined these 5 things that can be used. We've got antivirus, firewalls, two-factor authentication, access levels, and passwords. So we'll go through each of those now. So antivirus software, I'm sure you're familiar with. These are just some examples of antivirus software. And I want you to go and have a little bit of a research of what antivirus software actually does. Make sure you talk about updating definitions and things like that. But essentially, it's allowed a bit of software that will scan your computer or scan any newly downloaded files before they're open and check for certain patterns that would make the software think it could be a virus. So a firewall, this is a piece of software that will sit between your network and the internet. And the way that it works is it checks all the incoming and the outgoing packets of data to make sure that they are authorized and that they're allowed in or out of the network. So it's like our software that filters websites at school and things like that. Again, you'll do a bit more research on that anyway. So can be classed as a utility program, can also be a hardware device such as a proxy server with the software installed on it. And as I said, it checks the internet connection to your computer. It's to stop attempts by intruders to enter the system through the internet connection. It's set up as mainly one-way access, so you can go out to the internet and access pages, but it checks every data packet that enters or leaves against a set of rules, and if it's unauthorized, then it's blocked. Some firewalls allow you to change those rules, like our ones at school. As we said, you might hear people saying, I can't get to that site at school because it's been blocked. That's the firewall that's doing that. Two-factor authentication, there's a video that explains what that is, so you'll be able to click on that link and have a little look. Essentially, it's when you need 2 pieces of information in order to access the data. So it could be a bank card and a PIN. So you need both of those things. You can't just have someone's bank card and get all their money. You need to know the PIN as well. You'll have also used it, I'm sure, when you're signing into things like Google, and it will send a text message to your phone. So you must have your phone and you must know the username and password. So that's the 2 bits of information that you need. Access levels. This is a way of stopping certain people in the organization getting to data. So obviously Bradley Manning had access to this data. Maybe he should or shouldn't have, I'm not sure. But it's the reason why I can't get to the leadership group folder on the shared area, and you can't get to the staff folder within ICT and things like that. So it just allows some people access and others not access to certain folders and data. So passwords, sometimes with these really simple questions like what is a password, people kind of overthink it. Okay, so you kind of need to go back to basics. A password is something, a combination of letters, numbers, and symbols that only the user knows and is used in conjunction with the username to access some data. So hopefully none of your passwords will come up here, but these are the most common types of password in 2016. Hopefully you'll not spot any of yours in there. But you might be asked in the exam to identify which is the most secure password, etc. So it'll be things that include capital letters, lowercase, and so on and so forth. Right, what you're going to do then is on your OneNote is answer all the tasks and fill in all the questions based on what I've just said there. Take care, be good, and hopefully we'll see you all back in school again soon.